So I'm a storyteller.
Yeah.
And I'm someone that kind of aligns your narrative so that despite everything you go through, you can still live a better story of your life.
I love that.
Yeah.
I have to say that emotionologist was a new word for me.
Mm-hmm.
What makes you different from normal therapist?
Honestly, I think it's because I do believe, like I said, that emotions are a strength. I'm not asking you to get rid of them. I'm not asking you to negate them. I'm asking you to not even control or manage them.
Right.
I'm asking you to feel them, but then feel them where it's not at your expense or at the expense of the relationship. So understand what's behind them. And more than that, I think when I used or coined the word emotionologist, it was literally, like I just said, it's the science of emotion where you look at that emotion and understand that it explains your behavior, but it does not justify it.
Ooh, nice.
And that's where I think I come in and I say, as a psychotherapist, that listen, I'm going to sit with you. I'm going to help you release, but I'm also going to help you process. I'm going to help you understand where your pain comes from, but I'm also going to help you understand where you cause pain.
Nice.
And then we're going to work on that together. So I'll give you all the explanations you need. I'll validate you, but I won't justify it. We're going to work together to change that pattern. That's how I'm different.
And every therapist has their own story.
Absolutely.
So would you tell us a little bit about yours? Where were you able to define your pain and be able to transform it into one that's going to be able to heal others or help others?
Well, I think, honestly, for me, when it came to my pain, initially when I was hurt, when I went through what I went through, which have been episodes of everything, including even sexual assault, when I went through what I did, it took me time to understand that the acts or the episodes were not the issue. It was the people that caused them. I didn't feel violated anymore by what happened to me. I started to compartmentalize, externalize enough to realize that it wasn't the act of intimacy that impacted me. It was the human being that did. And as I started recognizing that, I realized that the pain that I felt was something that needed to be processed to externalization rather than internalized thinking that why me? And rather saying, okay, it happened to me because of someone. How do I avoid choosing that same version or getting into that same situation? And that's when I said that pain became a lesson more than it became a struggle. Pain became a strength more than it was a weakness. Pain became my power rather than something that took everything away from me. Pain is extremely influential on your life if you allow it to be, but it can be very controlling if you don't understand it or try to run away from it.
And as you can see, I've read your book. I've highly marked it, so you definitely know I've read your book. And from what I can see, this really, at least the message I took away from this, is that you've got to learn to love yourself to be able to really gain and garner love from anybody else if that's what you're looking for. Tell us a little bit about your core message from this book. That's what I took away from it. But if that is the message of this book, when did you make that realization that you have to love yourself? Self-love is going to be pretty much the most important thing.
This book, Manisha, is actually like a 261-page journal that I wrote when I decided I wanted to become a mental health professional. I had said to myself that if I'm going to in any which way reduce the pain of others or in any which way use my empathy towards guiding people to not negating their trauma, because I'm not God, I can't negate it, but living a better quality of life despite it, I had to work with mine.
Yes.
And this journal was something I just wrote and I shelved. And I said, no, I'm not sharing this with anybody. This is just mine to heal from. And this is mine to release from my system so that my mental capabilities could be applied to others rather than figuring out my own emotions.
Right.
Then, as I started the journey of therapeutic, processing, and I became a clinician, I realized individuals are actually healing more with self of the therapist, which is where we as therapists actually speak about something that happened to us so that the individual can connect with us.
Right.
And can say, oh, wait, I'm not alone. You've been there. So suddenly expertise also has experience.
Right.
And when you have the combination of expertise and experience, it makes it into a totally different therapeutic session and connection. So a lot of my clients started asking me, can't you just share your stories with the world? So I kept smiling and smiling. Finally, I said, you know what? This book is that. And I said, okay, let's do it. And the book, basically, I handed it as a full manuscript to my literary agent. And I said, why don't we just work towards publishing this? And it became a book of impact. And it just went beautifully well. Everybody has resonated with it. The message in it is very simple. I don't need you to love me. I love myself. I don't need you to value me. I have my own value. I don't demand that you respect me because respect is earned. You need to make me feel emotionally safe. That is about it. And that emotional safety can only come if I feel safe enough loving myself to receive it.
Totally. And I have to tell you, that is actually, you touched on that. That was actually what I loved about this book. It was not rules and regulations to follow, tools and transformation tips. It was your story.
It was real.
And so that's what aligned with me, because I was able to grow from your story, your real story.
Thank you. That's probably the nicest compliment ever. When I was choosing the title for the book, we were really debating. And then there was a quote I wrote in my literally 4th or 5th failed relationship.
Right.
Saying, I loved loving you, for that was meant to be. I loved letting you go, for that was meant for me.
Oh, yes. I think
and
you put
that
in
is
there.
where the title comes from.
Oh,
exactly.
love it.
That's
Love
the
it.
title. I had another title, but it was censored. But anyway, that's really sad.
I like this one.
I like
really,
this one too.
works for me. Okay. You deal with a lot of people. I mean, I'm not quite sure how many hundreds of lives you may have touched. And so you're listening to conversations about people's deepest fears, their vulnerabilities. How has that made you change the way you see humanity? And if there was anything that you'd like to tell us from all those conversations that you've had, what would it be about what you've learned, something really significant you've learned from all those dialogues and conversations?
So it's funny that you bring up humanity, because one of my very, I would say, known quotes that I do say is, I see a lot of human beings, but I don't see enough humanity. Okay, but sitting across after these 8,000 hours or so, one thing that stands out for me is that, like I said earlier, there's a lot of explanations about why you behave the way you do. And it's easy to blame other people. But the truth of the matter is, the explanations are valid, the justifications are not. And the day that you can actually just sit there and say, wait a minute, I do contribute towards this. Take that little bit of accountability, which is what I think has been the greatest lesson for anyone that comes to me. That I do have to take some accountability for the trauma, no matter what it is.
Really?
Yeah.
No matter what it is.
Other than sexual assault, child abuse, sexual abuse, senior abuse, DV, violence to that level, no. But I'm talking about distress in relationships. I'm talking about discord. I'm talking about arguments. I'm talking about those elements. If you recognize that we are definitely more confrontational than we are conversational, or we stop talking to someone because we actually should be talking to them, but we shut down, and then the other way around, or recognizing and falling down this deep, dark hole of these love languages. I have nothing against love languages, but the 2 love languages are very simple. I get you, I got you.
I love that.
That is about it. I get you and I got you. And if you can actually understand that and recognize that if I'm telling you I love you in Sindhi and you're telling me I love you in Gujarati, we're still saying I love you, but you're not understanding each other. So you need to say I love you in your partner's language, and your partner needs to say I love you in your language. But that only comes if you get each other and you got each other. Because the health of a relationship does not and cannot be in any which way analyzed by the disagreements. It's analyzed by what happens after the disagreement. That's what determines the health of the relationship.
And that actually brings me to the next question that I had, which was about globally dealing with clients and cultures. Is it all universal? Is there a universal language of love? Or do we have differences based on culture? And if so, how are the scenarios different for our Desi South Asian culture? Is it anything that's unique to us over here in this area of the world?
So much. Culture and conditioning plays probably the largest role in relationships. Not only relationships that you have with others, but relationships that you have with yourself. The relationship you have with society as a whole, from a macro and micro level. Culture and conditioning has conformed us into these preconceived notions and stereotypes of what a woman is and what a man is in Southeast Asia and South Asia. That doesn't take away from the West either. It's just that the West comes with more individuality than the East comes with. So I am born and bred, as per my family, to be individualistic, but not at the expense of my partnership. I am born and bred to believe that my end objective is to be in a union.
Right.
Okay, and is to develop this family of sorts. In the West, you can still do all of that, and many women, girls at the age of 5 are doing scrapbooks of how they're going to get married and things like that, but never been told that the individuality has to be sacrificed in order to achieve it. So I think over here what happens is, if I can do one thing today, it's raise my son to believe that a woman deserves individuality, but to also raise my daughter to believe that as much as now the new generation will tell you you have to be independent, don't do it at the expense of your relationship either. Do it where there's some sort of balance.
Right.
Okay, because right now what's happening is there's a lessened tolerance level and a huge uprising amongst women. So now women are like, no, what we didn't get, we want. So what were privileges are now rights. But don't let those rights take you to the other side either. So it's the same way there's negative toxicity, there's also overtly positive toxicity. When you come to me and you say, I want good vibes only, I want to feel happy all the time. No, that's not real. I have to treat that. That's not real at all. That means that you don't understand balance. There's no such thing as a happy relationship.
There isn't?
No, it's healthy relationship. There's no such thing as a happy marriage. It's healthy marriage. If you are seeking happiness, you are seeking something that is a little too ambitious and non-existent.
Okay, so I'm going to bring it down now to the subcontinent. We still have to probably work with joint families, that kind of thing. That's pretty much the culture over here. It hasn't changed too much. At the same time, we're educating ourselves. I'm talking about the next generation. Okay, I'm still the other one, but girls are being educated. Girls are being taught that they need to work after marriage. There's nothing like stay home and just be the complete caregivers of the elders in the family and their children and things like that. How do we work that? How do we stay in a relationship? How do we make our relationships healthy when we have to deal not just with our partners and our immediate family, but that whole extended family and their expectations of us?
That's hard. And I will say that's hard. I have a lot of the younger generation coming to me. I have teenagers. I have single young women and single young men. I have married couples. I have dating couples. They're all coming to me with the same thing. I'll tell you how. When we are meeting someone, now I'm talking about the new generation.
Right.
Okay? When you're going into dating, whether it's app driven or individual driven or just naturally driven, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
We were always taught to ask those questions. So where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah.
You know, do you want to live with your family or not? How are we going to work towards developing this? See, the fact is this. We meet someone with an idea, a fairy tale idea, or even a realistic an idea of a marriage, when actually what it is you meet someone and you develop the idea together. The relevant questions are, and should be, not do you want to have children and where do you see yourself in 5 years? What are you going to do if your mom doesn't like me?
Oh, wow.
What are you going to do if I get fired? What are you going to do if we try to have children and I find out I can't? What are you going to do if we have to go through an IVF process? What are we going to do if we find living in a system like a joint family system doesn't work? What are we going to do if we want to live in one rather than live alone? These are the relevant questions. And when you ask these questions, you understand one thing very clearly. I love my parents. You love your parents. We love our elders. We respect them. But when we approach this, we don't approach it as you and me. We approach it as a relationship.
Right.
What helps the relationship?
Right.
And then once we approach our parents, we tell them that the relationship is what requires this or that, not us as individuals. Let's come to some agreement. We discuss it.